What a finale, guys. Yeah. That's to the former Guardians of the Galaxy. I salute you. Alright. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, ladies and gentlemen. I seen it with some buddies, including my co-host for the Burn Pit. Side note, before we get into talking about this movie, speaking of talking about my co-host, if you have noticed, some of you who probably came to this channel and probably through the Burn Pit, if you're wondering why things have been on this temporary, we basically had another temporary hiatus for some mental health and reasons, and just, like Kevin's kind of doing his family thing with Mrs. Burn Pit. And I was also busy with the girlfriend at the time. No longer the case on that end, and unfortunately. Or else you would have already by now seen the video I wanted to plan with her, which was for the Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves, which I did not do, and I didn't bother to see because I knew it would have just reminded me of her. It's kind of what it was, guys. Eventually I'll get to see it, maybe? We'll see? If not, well, I guess it's just not going to make the year-end list. Like it probably could have. It might have been on the lower end, but we'll see. But yeah, that's what's going on. We're eventually going to try. It sounds like we're eventually going to get back into doing content again. And hopefully we'll be back. I don't know when we'll be 100% again, but hopefully we will be. And in all our humorous, hilarious, hysterical glory. So just thought I'd let you guys know. That's what's going on. And also I might share some of the thoughts that was given by my co-host. Well, let's just say he's amongst those that have felt like Marvel and just Disney in general have gotten a little too up the ass of woke and cancel culture. I understand that, but I don't completely subscribe to that, personally. But I'm not going to judge him for that. I've heard there's plenty of people who have, and it's understandable. And he's lucky that, and to what he said, and he hadn't seen anything since Endgame. I wish he would have seen at least Far From Home, so he could see No Way Home and enjoy the living crap out of that as a Spider-Man fan, alongside myself, which he should do. That's his homework. If you see this, it's your homework. Those two movies, at least. Nothing else. If you do decide to do anything else Marvel. Maybe Wakanda Forever, but that's about it. Maybe that. Or if you're a Sam Raimi fan in general, if you like some of his stuff, I still enjoyed for the recent Doctor Strange for that reason. Though you'll probably need to know and see the WandaVision to understand that. But, though he's probably looking forward to the Captain America movie, probably. I forgot that was a thing. That might be the only thing he'll watch. Maybe. We'll see. My thoughts on the movie Guardian, this movie is primarily Rocket Raccoon's story. And, not so much Peter Quill's. He's more put to the side on this movie. And it's not like and for those who go into this movie, if you haven't seen the holiday special, what's wrong with you? I'm sorry for whoever was back there. Seems like he's someone just doing his thing and trimming trees down that need to be trimmed, it seems, limbs, because some of them are in the way of the cars. I don't know. What's up with that dice deal? But anyways, sorry, I get distracted easily. Don't even worry about me editing this out. It's just going to happen. But as far as the movie is back to the movie. So, the whole thing with Rocket and then his involvement with the main villain, the High Evolutionary, which I believe for some of you that wound up seeing the TV series back in the 90s, early 2000s, the series, the very short-lived Spider-Man Unlimited, which was supposed to be probably a Spider-Man 2099, to be fair, but I think they just couldn't do it without Peter Parker Spider-Man, so they settled on this. It wasn't as good as the original Spider-Man series, but it was an okay series. Mainly the thing that I liked the most about it was the costume choice and the design and the whole stealth mode thing that they did for Spider-Man. But that is nothing. Regardless, that's where the villain of High Evolutionary was introduced to me, was my point. But, so, if you know him, then that's, because I believe that is the High Evolutionary in that series. So you have some idea of what you're dealing with. Even though his look is different from that, I'll tell you that. Series, I'll tell you that. But, yeah, it's kind of the same thing. It's just him but really more fuck. Like, he's probably the best villain we've had since Thanos, and he's so much more screwed up than you realize, especially when you get into how he's the reason for why Rocket is the way he is. And how much and I love how you find out what his thing is and what makes him special compared to the rest of them, aside from him just looking like a raccoon and stuff, which is great to see, and that's that he has an uber intelligent brain, which was there's just more. You're gonna ball, dude. It's a very dark film. The moment that this movie starts, you'll get the feel of this movie for sure. And you start with Rocket, but yeah, and then there's these other things that happen, where involving Adam Warlock from the last movie, and the reason why his character is the way he is, they do explain. And it's kind of funny, and it fits in Gunn's humor, especially for those who've seen what he's done with DC. That's the big thing about this movie. He wound up popping to DC for a brief period. He came back for this because Marvel screwed up and realized they made a big mistake, and when they realized this was how stupid it was, they hired him back. Gunn back. And after this whole circumstances, he didn't want to work with them, and none of them wanted to ever work with Disney after that ever again. Except for apparently really the actor who plays, the only one that wasn't officially saying they didn't want to return seemed to have been Chris Pratt. More on that when I get to the spoilerish stuff, I guess. Because this film felt the most self-contained in a while. And it needed to be, because we needed a rest from all the bullshit that was going on already in the multiverse. And we just needed to focus on what was happening that we had set up. The only things you need to see leading into this movie, besides the first two Guardians films and the holiday special, is clearly their times they've had in Infinity War and Endgame. For sure. That's all you need. That's all you need. Before you decide to go and see this movie. If that's the only thing about it that's not probably self-contained, but Other than that, yeah, if you've at least seen the first two Guardians in the holiday special, and at least know what happened, at least within the last two Avengers movies and Infinity War and Endgame, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. That much I can tell you. Going into this movie is what you need to know. So because there are some little things that happened in the holiday special that is a big thing that happened in the holiday special that is a kind of slightly referenced in here. And that holiday special is awesome. So I do recommend that as well. And it was a good little tease to lead into this movie, personally. Also, yeah, I definitely recommend my buddy watch the holiday special anyway. Just cause. And plus it does at least give you an idea of the camaraderie the characters are having in this movie at this point. It's kind of because of some things that happened in the holiday special. And you learn some cool things in the holiday special, especially involving Yondu, which was kind of cool. It was like, and a little more on that later, kind of, sort of. But anyways, yeah, I don't know if I can. Overall, I'll just say the score of this movie. Overall, screw it, guys. I liked this more than not only Volume 2. I think hot take, I think I got more out of this than I did the first. Actually. Some people may not agree with that. And I'm okay with that, actually. I understand if there's still people who would rather pick the first film above this one. But honestly, there's something about this film that just feel like I gravitate more to it than this first. Yeah, fuck it. And you'll know because I don't think I've given this score to any of the Guardians films necessarily. I'm not even the first one. Because screw it. I'm going horns up masterclass with this thing. It's definitely making the year-end list in a good way, possibly top 3 to 5 for sure, no matter what. Depending on how good the year is, though, to be fair. But if I can see and how much I get a chance to see, I'm not making it rain right now, and my work is not allowing me to work on Fridays at the moment because we're so not getting orders and stuff. So yeah, yeah. Surprised I didn't have this problem when it was the pandemic and everything was fine then, though, and I was not hit, which is weird. But anyways, sorry for my personal bullshit. Anyways, starting off in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You've been warned. This movie starts off with Rocket. He's playing on the MP3 that they eventually got from the end of from the end of, I think, Endgame or the end of Volume 2. I'm going to say the end of Endgame. And you know, this cast has been an ensemble for a while. And it's at the headquarters of nowhere, the Guardians Galaxy. And Rocket's doing his thing. You know, listening to the song, all this other stuff. Over the speakers from nowhere, which has become the headquarters for the Guardians and the home turf for everybody else in this nice floating skull planet. And then Peter's still dealing with the effects from Gamora. He's drinking himself he's become a mess. He's drinking himself in a heap. Even more, way worse than what he seemed to have been which he comes off far worse in here than he did in the special, I'll tell you that. Because it was a Christmas special, so of course they're going to like hold a little bit back from that. Because it really went dark here. And then after all this, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, where they get attacked by Adam Warlock, a sovereign warrior created by the High Priestess Aisha. Everyone, and by the way, in the Guardians had a role in here, and it was funny. I forgot to mention that earlier. And that it wasn't just jokes that were out of place or anything like the second film. After Adam overpowers them and seriously wounds Rocket, he is stabbed by Nebula and forced to flee. The Guardians are unable to tend to Rocket's wounds due to a kill switch made by an Orgo Corp. Betting in him, they travel to Orgo Corp's headquarters to find the override code. Unconsciously recalls his past as a baby raccoon. He was experimented on by the High Evolutionary, a scientist who sought to enhance animal life forms into anthropomorphic species to create a counter-Earth. Rocket befriended the High Evolutionaries' other test subjects, the otter, Lila, the walrus Teefs, and the rabbit Floor. The High Evolutionary was impressed by Rocket's intelligence, but furious that it exceeded his own intelligence. The High Evolutionary perfected the organization process with Rocket's, but ordered Rocket's brain to be extracted and his friends incinerated. It freed Lila only for the High Evolutionary to kill her. Rocket, enraged, mauled the High Evolutionary and shot his guards. In the chaos, alone Rocket stole a ship and fled. Throughout this whole thing, and that story just, if you're not already just hearing this, like, I was bawling, like, when it came to, like, when he was near his deathbed, you know? In the present, the alternative version of Gamora has joined the Ravengers, helps the Guardians infiltrate Orgo Corp. They retrieve Rocket's file, but discover the code has been removed. The group speculates that Thiel, one of the High Evolutionaries' advisors, has it. They are followed by Aisha and Adam, who were evolutionary to retrieve Rocket for his brain. Upon Counter-Earth, the team is helped by residents of Counter-Earth, which is very similar to what was sort of going on in the Spider-Man series. So there were some familiarities about this that made sense. It sort of were like making me think about that series for a while, by the way. And if you have seen Spider-Man Unlimited, you'll understand, because High Evolutionary is that same character from that. So, on Counter-Earth, the team is helped by residents in tracing Thiel to the High Revolutionary ship. Drax and Mantis remain with Gamora and Rocket as Peter, Quill, Groot, and Nebula travel to the High Evolutionary ship. Nebula is forced to wait outside by guards as Quill and Groot board. Drax and Mantis chase after Quill's group. Also, I forgot to mention something about another character. Kraglin. The characters Kraglin and Cosmo. Kraglin played by director James Gunn's brother, Sean Gunn, who basically wound up taking the helmet thing from Yondu and his ability along with the whistling along with it, which he has not yet perfected. And Cosmo and tries to play a game using it, and Cosmo beats him with it. And the dog Cosmo beats her with telepathy, and then calls her a bad dog for basically embarrassing her in front of them, and never lets it go throughout the entire film. And it's kind of one of the funny, and it's still somehow the funniest one of the funniest gags of the fucking movie, up until he finally gives in, this is where it comes into play. Nebula, Mantis, and Drax come across hundreds of imprisoned humanoid, which, by the way, when they were going through it, you meet Nephi Fillion in this movie. Sylvester Stallone returns, who was in the second movie as Stakar Ogard, the high-ranking Ravenger. Because it seems now Gamora this version of Gamora has joined the Ravengers. Which Nebula made the call to do because they were sisters, all that stuff. There's still that bond for some reason. Regardless. of how she acts. But also one of the high-ranking Ravengers, Matrionyx, is played by Michael Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum of the fame, mostly of known fame for playing Lex Luthor in the beloved TV series Smallville back in the 2000s. Since which he is now doing a podcast with alongside his then former co-star Tom Welling, which you should also check the heck out. It's awesome. He also has some other podcasts, and I actually enjoyed this other series he did post. That I'm trying to remember. He was basically playing having to pose as a gay priest. It was a thief that wound up posing as a gay priest. I'm forgetting the name of the show for some stupid reason, but I liked it for what it was. Check that out if you may. It's sort of a comedy that's kind of become more of a drama as it went on. But yes, High Revolutionary, who is played... Well, that guy is Master Kojara, and he was a bigger role compared to what his usual cameos were, Nathan Fillion, which was awesome. Especially the jokes involving him bitching about the co-workers that are just... I have that. I relate it. I'm not going to lie. I relate to that shit so hard. So hard when it comes to that. And so, I'm sure everybody does, everyone still brings their A game in this one. All the main cast, between Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, I'm invested in this journey they're making to save Rocket throughout this entire thing. No matter even the little things they do, even the camaraderie between Dave Bautista's Drax the Destroyer and Palm Clementive's Mantis, which was a good camaraderie in the holiday special, and which transitions pretty well into here as well. Will Poulter's Adam Warlock. He's basically a baby that does not understand life very well. As Gunn apparently put it when he was talking about this. I have an overture played by Chuck Woody. I'm probably gonna butcher this name. Iwaji. I'm gonna fuck this up. I'm sorry to you, because you did great as the Higher Evolutionary, and it should be one of your best performances for sure. Upon arriving, the counter of the team is Quill, High Evolutionary, initiates his destruction and planned reaction of Counter Earth, killing all life on the planet as well as his ship enters orbit. Groot leap off and kill Theo, retrieving the code from him. Gamora arrives with their ship to rescue them while Nebula, Mantis, and Drax board the High Evolutionary ship, which wound up becoming a funny little bit. When they were finally off the ship and everything, when they were trying to get on there to save him, and it's like, what the fuck? This group attempts to access the code. Rocket flatlines and has a near-death experience, which... Dude, the near-death experience where he sort of meets in the white light afterlife his old friends from his memory, from his time being the Revolutionary's experiment. I was bawling. Nearly. Like, man-tearing more so, but I was about bawling. And you're going to need tissues. I should have even told you guys that. That's how dark this movie was. Holy moly. Where he sees Lila, Teefs, and Floor. Like I said, Lila tells him that this time has not yet come, and Quill uses the code to disable the kill switch and save Rocket's life. Nebula, Mantis, and Drax come across hundreds of imprisoned humanoid children on the high evolutionary ship before being captured. Quill's group sets out to rescue the three, who are placed in a chamber. It's just obelisks, which were the creatures from the second movie that they were trying to kill before. To escape and reunite with Quill's group, together overpowering the High Evolutionary's army. Kraglin and Cosmo arrive with Nowhere, and Cosmo creates a telekinetic tunnel connecting Nowhere to the High Evolutionary ship to free the captive children. Rocket discovers animals on the ship. He is attacked by the High Evolutionary, but the rest of the Guardians subdue him. Which was an awesome... Which, by the way, that scene where they all come together and they all decide to go in and just... And the Gamora dynamic and how Quill's handling it mentally, and then how she tries to... This version of Gamora, that's... For those who don't know from what happened in Endgame, the Gamora from Infinity War, the Gamora we know from the first two is dead. This Gamora is the Gamora that was brought through and converted to good, back to the better side, that was from the past prior to the Gamora that we would know from the first Guardians. And this Nebula finally is decompressing and deprogramming herself from what was the assassin program that she had become known to have dealt with from Thanos. And you finally see her finally become more human, more human-esque, or human-like, or, well, human-esque, the same thing. Human-like. But anyways, that's what goes on with that. Quill nearly dies to try to cross over, but it's because he was trying to get of all things, was because he was trying to get the one thing for Rocket, the MP3 player. Dies trying to cross over, but is saved by Adam, who had a change of heart after being evacuated by Groot. In the aftermath, Quill leaves the Guardians, decides he needs to leave the Guardians, and bestowing the captaincy to Rocket before leaving for Earth to reunite with his grandfather, Jason. Mantis embarks on a journey of self-discovery with the Obelisks. Gamora reunites with the Ravengers. And Nebula and Drax remain on Nowhere to raise the rescued children. In a mid-credit scene, the new Guardians consisting of Rocket, a fully grown Groot, Cosmo, Kraglin, Adam, Phyla, one of the rescued children. I'm trying to see who this Phyla is in the... Phyla Vel. Ooh. Which is which is an interesting little tidbit, because it mentions Phyla Vel. Not sure if she will play a part later on, but it seems she is the daughter in the comics. She is the daughter of the superhero Marvel, the original true Captain Marvel, and the sister of Genis Val. There has also been known as Quasar to Marvel and Martyr at various points in her history. So that was a good Easter egg. Which she was one of the rescue children. And Adam's pet Blurp take on new mission in a post-credits scene. Seeing Quill eat, and in the post-credits scenes, Will eats breakfast, and we get a nice little thing which basically says Star-Lord will return. Says something about Star-Lord will return instead of the Guardians, which basically makes me wonder if this basically makes me think this is the end of just the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not of the iteration of Guardians of the Galaxy we know enough that I don't think we're going to see another film. There's just no way. or at least not. We'll see them probably, potentially, in future films, or at least the later iteration in future films. Possibly for the later Avengers films, but I'm not quite sure on it. But that leaves it open, and also thanks to this film, it leaves open the fact that James Gunn might actually be. That's what happens in this movie. In a nutshell, and the other than that, I mean, it's not fully worth staying, other than to know that the plan is for Star-Lord to stick around still, and he'll be probably involved for sure later on. But they never mention any of the other people who are of the Guardians. So that's the fate of what happens. They didn't bother, like, they really set up thinking that in this movie that they were going to really kill off Rocket, yet alone possibly the other Guardians. And that's not what really happened. Which you'd think would build me up, but the way they handled this, I feel like they executed it well enough that, in a way that compared to what the Quantumania was doing, this is a step way above that. High Evolutionary is officially one of the best villains, up there with Thanos, what Loki used to be, and Killmonger, for sure. I genuinely believe that. And yeah, if you guys, that's what happened in the movie. I'm looking forward now to the Superman movie. And what James Gunn is actually looking forward to now that he's running DC. And if this film is any indication of his, like, send-off, his final hurrah send-off in Marvel, is any indication of what he could do with DC, I'm actually, given what he's already announced, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. What the DCU is going to be, for sure, thanks to this. And maybe the tables will turn with that, but I'm hopeful that Marvel will step back up sometime, hopefully before this multiverse saga ends, and that the new X-Men and stuff will event. I'm hopeful that I want to see these guys, like, it's going to suck if Feige leaves before that, because I don't want what happened, because we finally have a chance to do, like, Fantastic Four and X-Men right, but if Feige's not going to be involved in it, then I don't know. I hope he finds someone that knows how to do it and give that sort of feel that the Infinity Saga had to that era of what they'll do. Which I'm guessing might be called the Mutant Saga, possibly. That's my guess. But yeah, what did you guys think? Leave a comment below, let me know. Rise the like button, throw us if you must. And as always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. And I will see you in the next video. Which I guess there's going to be a few albums I did listen to. Maybe some anniversary ones as well. That are celebrating 20 years. And those two are going to be interesting because they came out with re-recorded versions. You'll know when you see them, if you know me well enough. And this channel and its origins as well. And I think I've talked about one of those before the YouTube days, back in the Facebook days. So, yeah. Again, take care, y'all. And, yeah, what a send-off. Thanks, James Gunn. You went out guns blazing. Yeah, I'll just see myself out. That was just stupid. That was just